Let's get to switch gears here a little bit and talk about Tesla. So some troubling news here for the automaker today. They ranked dead last in J.D. Power's initial quality survey. It's Tesla's first time being included. And Rick, I'd love to get your thoughts on this just in terms of if you think this will have any effect of Tesla's future sales, because we know that J.D. Power ranked Tesla last out of the 32 brands operating in the U.S., 250 problems per 100 vehicles.
That might sound shocking, but I don't think it's shocking, and I don't think it's going to hurt Tesla. So let's just talk about what this survey is. This survey asked people who buy new cars about problems they have in the first 90 days of owning that car. And look, cars don't conk out in the first 90 days. The wheels aren't falling off and the transmission is not failing. So these are problems as the buyers themselves define a problem. So if you hear a rattle, you might call that a problem. If it's got an entertainment system or climate control system that seems overcomplicated and you don't understand it, you consider that a problem. So J.D. Power didn't explain why Tesla ended up at the bottom of the list, but I don't think that's too surprising given that when you get into a Tesla, especially the Model 3, if you have not been in a Tesla before, many things are totally different. There are not very many controls on the dashboard. There aren't too many buttons because everything is controlled on this touchscreen, this giant touchscreen in the center of the dashboard. And it takes some getting used to. You have to learn how to drive this car, basically. So even if you want to do simple things like adjust the mirrors, you have to go and find the button on the touchscreen instead of reaching down to your left on the armrest where it normally is. So you sort of have to learn how to drive a Tesla, whereas other cars, everything's pretty familiar. So I think that's why Tesla ended up at the bottom of the list. As far as I know, Elon Musk has not tweeted about this yet. I expect he will. I expect he's going to trash this survey. And just it's worth pointing out, the automakers at the bottom always trash this survey. This has been controversial among the automakers for a long time. And J.D. Power usually just says, hey, we're just telling you what car buyers tell us.
Yeah, I mean, so Rick, it's sort of tantamount to, it's really, I love your explanation for it because I couldn't figure out why, but it is true. It takes a little getting used to, and, but that's no excuse for putting something like this out. And to say that Tesla, if you've driven a Tesla, and to say that this is a vastly inferior product compared to a Chevy, which did well on this list in terms of quality, is kind of a joke.
You might make that argument, but so in J.D. Power's defense, they have other surveys too. I mean, this is just one of a bunch of surveys they have. They have a vehicle dependability survey. They have longer term satisfaction surveys. So this is just one. And I'll tell you, for as much as the automakers complain about it and say, this is irrelevant, everybody gets used to the car after 6 months. Boy, they all do what they can to score high on this test. And I would bet that, let's just look at the top brands. So Tesla at the bottom, here's who's at the top. Dodge, number one, Kia, which used to be a bargain basement economy brand, number two, then Chevrolet, Ram, the truck brand, and Genesis, which is an offshoot of Hyundai. Toyota's not up there, Lexus is not up there. And I think part of what's going on here is these the big automakers that have been through this survey over and over and over, they've probably figured out how to sort of build their cars so they score high on this survey. They know how to design cars to get the best safety ratings, the best quality ratings, and all these other things. And Tesla doesn't play that game, at least not yet.
And, with Genesis, for instance, I'd love to dig into this thing. I'm not going to belabor this, but with Genesis, which is the luxury brand for Hyundai, you wonder how big the survey sample was. Right?
They do have to. They do. This is a well-designed survey, but let me. So here's another kind of mystifying thing about this: is we can go as far as you guys want to go on this. So
not too
right
far.
After Tesla at the bottom, Shauna, cut me off if I'm going over my.
You're good. Keep going.
Okay, so right after Tesla at the bottom. So these are the worst performers: Land Rover, Audi, Volvo, Mercedes, and Jaguar. All luxury brands. Now, does that mean all these luxury models suck? No, it doesn't mean that. What it probably means is that people who buy these cars are very demanding consumers. And if they might find a tiny little flaw that somebody who bought a Toyota Corolla would never even notice, but they say, oh, that's a problem. And that goes into the survey.
Right. My rich Corinthian leather is actually has a pleat in it.
So just one last tidbit from this survey. The best performing vehicle overall, ready for it, was the Chevy Sonic. Does anybody even know what the Chevy Sonic is?
I don't even know what that is.
No.
It is on nobody's list of dream cars. It is a small subcompact, an economy car that Chevy makes. And I guess it's to Chevy's credit that they've, worked the rattles out of those things, because Chevy's passenger cars used to stink. But if you want to know how important this survey is, you will see that Chevy won this in the ads for the Sonic, but how many people are really going to rush out and buy it because of that?
Well, it sounds like if you're in the market for a new car, you shouldn't just look at this JD Power survey. You're going to want to consult some other findings and some other surveys as well before you make that final decision. But Rick, it's really interesting because when I was first taking a look at the results, I was kind of perplexed. So it was great to hear your explanation of that. Thank you.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.